Hello and welcome everyone to another class in our Produce Spotlight class series for this month, which features all produce items. It's our prebiotic edition. My name is Charlotte Scheid. I'm one of the Giant Company dietitians, and I really appreciate everybody being here today to learn a little bit something about artichokes. So our agenda for today, of course, we're going to discuss what are artichokes. We may hear about artichokes, but are not too familiar with them. Artichokes have a lot of nutritional benefits. So we're going to review some nutrition facts, how to pick and store them. Probably for the most part, when we get artichokes in store, we may be buying them like a marinade artichoke in a can or a jar. Not so much the fresh, but some of us will buy fresh. So it's always good to know how to store them. Ways to use artichokes. So there's many different ways to use them. Artichoke pairings, discussing some flavor options when you are preparing artichokes. Of course, going over some Savory Magazine recipe ideas, one of my favorite things. And then our recipe inspiration for today is a arugula and artichoke salad. Very simple ingredients and pretty much takes about maybe like 5 minutes or so to prepare. So that gives us an idea on a way to use artichokes. So my poll for today is, do you like artichokes? So let me go ahead and pull up that poll. So let's see what everybody has to say with this one. So I will say one of my favorite ways to use artichokes is to put them in a spinach and artichoke dip, which I actually saw in chat. A couple of you do like that too. And probably when we think of artichokes, that is the one thing that we think of how to use it. So I'll give everybody a couple more seconds to see if everybody likes artichokes. All right, so I will end the poll and let me share the results. So it looks like a lot of you do like artichokes. So for those of you who maybe not so much of a fan of artichokes, maybe this class today will inspire you to just try them again one more time. So thanks everybody for answering that question. All right, so what is an artichoke? So an artichoke is an edible flower bud from the thistle family. So it's actually harvested before it blooms. So once the flower does bloom, the artichoke is actually an edible, which I think is an interesting thing. So they are in season in the spring between March and June, and in the fall again, so about 2 seasons, and in the fall during September and October. And pretty much all artichokes in the United States are grown in California, probably due to the weather. They have a mild, slightly nutty and sweet flavor, very versatile and can be used in a lot of different dishes. The edible part is the center of the heart. So I don't know if anybody has peeled an artichoke. Can be a little bit time consuming, but you can get better at it, so it becomes a little bit quicker. But the edible part is the center. Once you peel away those outer leaves and that fuzzy part. So the center or heart, and then the inner petals too that surround the heart. But the fuzzy center, which also surrounds the heart, and then the tough outer leaves, you do not want to eat. But definitely the edible part, super delicious. So some nutrition facts. So these, of course, are just a couple of the many different nutritional benefits of artichokes. So they're a good source of magnesium. So magnesium is really important for blood sugar regulation, bone development, and nerve and muscle function. It's also a good source of folate, which is really important for brain health. And there was actually a study that showed that people who meet their folate requirement are less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. Also a good source of vitamin K, which helps to strengthen bone. It also helps with blood clotting, so definitely important as you get older. Also really good source of fiber or prebiotics, which is what our class series this month is on. So prebiotics are super important, especially when it comes to the gut. And so prebiotics help to feed those probiotics. So they almost act like food for the probiotics or helpful bacteria in our gut. So definitely this fiber helps to support gut health, improves digestion and bowel health. Also with immune health, which is of course important this time of year, those probiotics help to enhance the gut barrier and reduces inflammation. So definitely really supporting our immune health. So many different nutritional benefits for artichokes, but these are just a couple ones I wanted to highlight. So how to pick and store. So again, most of us probably when we will purchase artichokes, we may purchase them in the cans. This is the whole artichoke hearts. But if you do pick them or you choose one to buy fresh, you want to look for ones that the leaves. So this is a whole artichoke right here if you have never seen one before, but the leaves should be tightly packed and firm. If it does have an open leaf, or any type of looseness, I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, but if there are open leaves, it does indicate that it is older and less fresh. So definitely leaves should be tightly packed and firm. You want a deep green color. Some of them might have a little bit of purple to them, but you definitely want a vibrant color. So you want to avoid ones that are brown, dried out, or have blemishes, which is pretty much for any produce item. You want to avoid that. You want it to be heavy for size. So if it's lighter, it means that it's dried out and there may be less edible flesh. So definitely want it to be heavier for size. And how to store, if you want to store it as a whole, you can refrigerate it in the crisp drawer with a damp paper towel to make sure that it stays hydrated. And this can last up to a week. Of course, if you do peel it and get out that heart in the very center, I would store that in the refrigerator in an airtight container. Just to make sure that it stays fresh. So if you are picking one that is fresh in store, these are just some things to think about. So these are a couple ways to use artichokes. So again, sometimes when we think about artichokes, we may think of, just topping them on a salad, which of course you can do, or putting them in dip, which is one of my favorite things to do. But I just want to give a couple more ways to use artichokes if you are not very familiar with them or want to try them out. Okay, so ways to use artichokes, of course, and a spinach and artichoke dip, and many other different types of dips. There's really great recipes out there, especially on our Savory Magazine recipe database. You can, of course, add them to salads, especially the marinade ones, and any type of bowl like grain bowls. I will show a product in a couple more slides. We do have a spinach and artichoke hummus, which is super delicious, but you, of course, incorporate them into a hummus, which makes for a great snack. This is a pizza, or maybe called bruschetta on the savory, but you can always put it on top of a pizza. You can stuff artichokes if anybody has done that. Add to pasta salad, which is really delicious, and then you can also incorporate them into a sheet pan meal. So many different ways to use artichokes, and many more ways that go beyond even these ideas too. So these are some artichoke flavor pairings. So this is off of our Savory Magazine recipe database. This is a turkey, I believe this meat is turkey, but it's an Italian turkey stuffed artichoke, so it looks really delicious. But these are some flavor pairings that pair really well with artichokes. So in terms of produce, of course, spinach is a good one. In our recipe today, we're going to be using arugula. That's a really good one. Lemon and tomatoes, mushrooms, zucchini, and of course garlic and onion, which I think pairs well with a lot of different types of vegetables. And for cheese, so this one I believe has mozzarella cheese, but other good cheese ones are Parmesan, goat, and feta. Some protein options, which even with the salad that we're making today, even to add more protein, you could always add some chicken or salmon on it. Also, lamb and eggs and shrimp are also good combinations with artichokes. In terms of grains, many different types of grains, but pasta, quinoa, farro, and risotto are good ones. And then if you're looking in terms of herbs, some basil, thyme, parsley, chives, and dill are also good combinations. But I think, again, artichokes are very versatile, many different flavor options, but these are just giving some ideas for that. So these are some artichoke products at Giant. Of course, you can buy them whole. You can also buy them in the can, which makes for an easy option. So these are our brand quartered artichoke hearts. You can buy them whole, this is the can that I had. So whole artichoke hearts. We're going to be using a marinated artichoke in today's recipe, which some of the flavors in it include paprika, saffron, and turmeric, and garlic. So these are our marinated ones, which will taste really good on a salad. And then I also wanted to include our spinach artichoke hummus, which is one of my favorite products. I think is really good. If you like especially spinach and artichoke dip, I think that you'll like the hummus as well. So these are just some product options at Giant and Martin's if you're looking for some artichoke products. And of course, I wanted to include some recipe ideas for artichokes. And just a reminder, if you haven't seen Savory in Store, this is the most recent cover for it, but you can also access it online. So for those of you who are not familiar, this is our Savory Magazine that gives a lot of different recipe inspirations. So these artichoke recipes are not necessarily from this edition, but you can always access it online. Okay, so the first one, we talked about lemon and garlic being really good flavor combinations. This is a lemon and garlic braised artichoke. Does get one guiding star. So for those of you who are new, which I'm sure a lot of everybody already knows about guiding stars, but guiding stars is our nutritional navigation program. So the more stars that a recipe or product in the store has, the more nutritionally beneficial it is. So this one gets 1 star. So a lot of different flavors with this. So some garlic and lemon, and then butter, which really brings out the flavor as well. We know that artichokes are a good source of fiber, so this one has almost 8 grams of fiber. So that's a really good flavor combination with artichokes. Also, if you like to do Instapot, love a good Instapot recipe, especially if you are busy and on the go, which I'm sure a lot of us are. So this is an Instapot chicken and artichoke rigatoni. So not too many ingredients, pretty easy to make. You can always, I forgot what I was going to say. Anyways, this is a skinless chicken thigh, some garlic, some artichoke, some Parmesan. We talked about Parmesan being a good flavor combination, and parsley as well. So this one has great protein, so 38 grams of protein, and also, let's see, 5 grams of fiber as well. So this gets 2 guiding stars. So especially for this time of year, I love the crock pot, Instapot, always nice. And then lastly, I made this in a class, I can't remember how long ago, but it was really, really good, and is a really good dip for protein as well, because you're adding in cottage cheese. But this has kale, some chives. We talked about the good flavor combination, Parmesan cheese, lemon and nutmeg, and then artichoke hearts. So you combine this up and you bake it, but it is really good. And it actually has 18 grams of protein and also good fiber as well. So actually this would have been good for the Super Bowl. If you're watching it or we're going to a party, you could have made this. But you can make it at any time. But this gets 2 guiding stars, but really, really good if you're looking for a delicious dip recipe with some good protein in it as well. All right, let's see. Someone just asked a question in the Q&A. I just want to answer really quick. So in terms of when we're talking about storage of the artichoke, do you wrap it inside the damp paper towel or just place it on or next to the damp paper towel? So what I have read is that you want to wrap it in the paper towel. I don't know if it'd make too much of a difference. You may be able to place it just next to it too, if you're putting it like in I don't know, just right next to it. I think that would be okay too. But that's a good question. Okay, so let's get to our recipe for today. So again, our recipe inspiration, again, it's a savory recipe, is arugula, which is really delicious, and artichoke salads. A lot of good flavors going on here. So you can see that not too many ingredients. And actually, while I pause for a minute, I'm just going to turn on my skillet because we're going to be roasting some pine nuts, which you can see here. This recipe, a 1/4 cup of pine nuts. So we're going to be roasting those to kind of bring out the flavor. We're going to be using 2 jars. So these jars I have right here are about 6.5 ounces. Or if you find a 12-ounce jar of marinated artichokes, you can use that too. We're just going to use 2 jars today. We're going to add 3 tablespoons of our champagne vinegar. I think even like a white wine vinegar or something like that would be good too. But we're going to use that. And then the olive oil, we're going to mix with the champagne vinegar. And then, of course, our packed arugula. So this recipe, good source of fiber. And again, with protein, you can always add, I think, salmon or chicken or some type of poultry, I think would be good too. Even if you want to incorporate maybe some beans, you can always have that option as well. But this recipe gets 3 guiding stars, so definitely a very nutritionally beneficial recipe. So let me stop sharing my screen. We will get started with this recipe, which is definitely very easy to make. Okay, so the first thing that I did, I'm just turning on my skillet. Let me just turn on a little bit higher. So we are just going to use pine nuts, and we're going to roast them to bring out the flavor. And you're going to do this for maybe just a couple minutes or so. I've roasted pine nuts in the past, and you definitely don't want to do it for too long because then it might burn. I'm going to do 1/4 cup. I'm just going to put this in. Not too far. I'm gonna keep moving that around then. Okay. Let me just here. It's getting a little bit warmer, so that's good. So the arugula that I'm using today, I don't know if anybody likes arugula. It really gives a nice peppery taste, I think. Definitely try it out if you have not tasted it. It's a really good dark leafy green. So we're going to be using this arugula, and I always like these containers because they're pre-washed. So you open it, and then you can just reseal it, and you can use it throughout the week, which I love. So this one, so let me just go ahead and actually put this in our bowl right here. So I'm just going to use the whole container. Here are my pine nuts. I'm going to move these around a little bit. Make sure they're not going to burn. But again, I'm just putting these in a skillet to bring out the flavor. I think pine nuts are always a good option for any salad. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my arugula in this one. Might not need, the recipe calls for 8 cups. I think this should be, you can just kind of eye it. And I love that. It really just has a really good smell, peppery kind of smell. Okay. Check on these pine nuts. Just want to hear if they sizzle a little bit. All right, so it's turned up. So I'm also going to add to my salad. Again, we're using the marinated artichoke hearts. And what they're marinated in is a lot of different flavors, including paprika, saffron, turmeric, and then garlic as well. I always like the marinated ones because they add a lot of good flavor. So instead of dumping this because it is in liquid, I'm just going to just remove it with a fork. And someone asked if they could try it with chickpeas. You could absolutely add chickpeas, and you could definitely use spinach. Someone asked if you can use spinach instead of arugula. I think that'd be perfectly fine. Even if you want to do a spring mix, I think that's good too. All right, so I'm just removing these artichokes. It smells really good. And those pine nuts. Has anybody used the marinated artichokes before? You can put your answer in the chat. Be interested to see. These are always, again, really good on salads. I can get this. So, yeah, about half and half, yes and no. These are definitely for their roasting kind of fast. I might remove these fairly soon. So let me get out artichokes. So someone asked, what is the sodium in this? So for 2 of these is about 200 milligrams of sodium. So a little bit higher in sodium. However, you could always, if you're worried about sodium, you could rinse them off a little bit and that would get rid of some of the sodium. And even for this salad, you could always chop these up even further if you wanted to make them kind of spread out even more. Great. This is our last one. Great. So you can set this to the side. I'm going to turn this down. These are definitely roasting and getting. Yep, that's good. I'm going to just put this on my salad. Probably even if you wanted, you could cool these down a little bit, but we're just going to put them, on here. The other thing I'm going to do in a little bowl is to mix my olive oil and then champagne vinegar. So the champagne vinegar using is right here. And then we're going to do 3 tablespoons of this and then 2 tablespoons of our olive oil which of course is a great way to incorporate some healthy fats. So 1, 2, and we'll do 3 of this. It smells really, really good. It almost reminds me of like a white wine kind of vinegar, which you probably use too. All right, so let's cook this up. Let me actually use my tongs and just kind of mix this up a little bit, and then we'll add on our oil and vinegar dressing. All right, so go ahead and add this. You can see that did not take too long to make. I'm just gonna mix this up. Smells really good. So this is just a great way to use artichokes. And of course, many different types of salad recipes to use artichokes in, but this is a great way to use those marinated ones. All right, so this is our arugula and artichoke salad. Let me actually plate it. Easier to see. And again, if you want more of a pop of protein, you can always add chicken or beans like chickpeas or anything like that. Let me get some artichokes out of here. All right, so here is our salad. So super delicious, very not minimal ingredients, but not too many ingredients, but a lot of flavor. So hopefully that gives you a good recipe idea to use artichokes. And I want to thank everybody for joining me here today. Let me actually make sure. Oh, let me just answer this one question. Somebody asked if I put oil in the pan with the pine nuts, and I did not use oil. I just put them in by themselves and then just roast it a little bit. But again, you don't need to do it for too long because they will burn pretty easily. So kind of a medium heat, maybe even a little bit lower to roast them. But yeah, no oil, just by themselves. All right. Well, again, I want to thank everybody for joining me here for another produce spotlight class, which we're featuring our prebiotic edition. Hopefully you learned a little bit something about artichokes today and a recipe idea as well. So thank you again, everyone, and I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the day. So take care and hope to see you again at a future class. Bye-bye.